Good evening, family. You've tuned in again to The Journey, and we're here with myself, Dr. John Robertson, and our co-host, Charles Morris. As we like to say, we're partners in crime.
Yes.
And hopefully, even more than that, partners in education, information, and motivating all of our family out there. You all are our family, and as I like to say, the journey is from me to you and from you to me. So without further ado, as we said in our last segment last week, we wanted to follow up on the situation with Trayvon Martin with exploring that some more. And what we're going to do this week, we have two guests. One is a returning guest, and many of you have gotten to know our young friend, Eric Young, Jr. And Eric is, we thought that Eric being here was important because we want to hear the voice of young people. The other guest that we have tonight is Mr. Jerome Hightower. And Mr. Hightower is an essential part of our community. He's born and raised here in Orlando, Florida. For you in the local area, you'll be proud to know that he's a graduate of Jones High School. And for those of you a little further outside of our area, he's also a FAMU Rattler. And very proud of it, I see. Mr. Hightower is currently the Chief Probation Officer for the Orange County and is the third African American in that position. So without further ado, I'm going to start off in...
Actually, let me,
go ahead.
let me say hello. Let me say hello.
Oh, okay.
No,
I'm sorry,
no, it's okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to The Journey. Charles Morris here. Kind of doing a lot of things at once. So we just want to make sure that you tune in. You know, you can hit us up on Twitter. We're going to put the Twitter address up as well. You can also join us on Facebook. And so I just want to get that out of the way. Dr. Robinson, you can go ahead and do your thing.
Okay.
Okay, you were going to ask me a question, so go ahead.
You know, Charles, I think it's because a lot of the time you're so
Right.
student that I have to ease in. So
Right.
I think this was my 2 seconds in starting off. You know, so. But I'd like to start our show tonight by asking Mr. Hightower, in your position, just tell me a little bit about what you do and also what your role has been as a probation officer.
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me.
Welcome.
My role is Department of Juvenile Justice. I am the Chief Probation Officer for Orange and Osceola County. And I oversee about 97 staff, the probation officers who are the ones that supervise the youth that has gone through the court system, that have been ordered by the courts to complete sanctions. Probation officers monitor those cases and make sure that the kids are successful in completing all of the court order sanctions.
Very good. Very good. Eric, you want to just introduce yourself a little?
Well, y'all know me from the last time. I'm Eric. See, my mom's not here now. That was the crazy lady that was sitting beside me.
You know Mom is definitely not here with that comment.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, how old are you?
I'm 15.
And what school do you go to?
I'm finna go to Edgewater. I used to go to Lee.
Okay.
I'm finna play football for them. Y'all should come see me play.
Okay.
You wanna come see me play?
Oh, absolutely. And also, I have to give a little bit of shout out to Eric's track skills because he's also on the track team, and I believe. Just tell me what events you ran this year.
I did the 100, the 60, and the 4x1 in the shot put.
Oh.
And I came in third and second always.
All right. Well, you'll have some extra fans this year rooting for you to come in first. Okay.
Right.
So we'll definitely do that. On a serious light, we are all still digesting the whole incident with Trayvon Martin and what has happened. And Eric, I'd like to just start out with you as a young man. You are a couple of years younger than Trayvon, but I wanted to just get an idea of, for you, from your perspective, what did that whole Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman incident, what did it mean to you, or how did it affect you?
It affected me by, well, let me see. I was thinking, because I'm young, what if I walk to the store to go and get my mom or my little sister something, and some man is following me and he shoot me? And I feel like that's sad that he had to shoot him. He ain't ask him nothing. That's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And it sounds like it also creates some, if I can call it, apprehension or fear that you might at some point fall into that kind of situation.
I said every time. I really don't know, but it's just sad that he shot him and he died.
Yeah,
and they told him not to follow him.
Exactly. I'd like to ask Mr. Hightower, because you've worked with so many young people that are, again, like Eric, who look at a Trayvon Martin, who are in high school, may not be doing anything that would put them in harm's way, but wind up in harm's way. What are the kind of things that you see that young people, let's say like Eric, could do to either avoid or stay out of those kind of situations?
Well, first of all, I think that, image is everything. Mm-hmm. And there is so much stigma placed on young black African-American kids. Mm-hmm. And it seems that if you look a certain way, you are portrayed a certain way. Mm-hmm. Not that Trayvon was dressed in the wrong attire, mm-hmm. because on that evening, a hoodie was totally appropriate. Mm-hmm. It was a cold, February, mm-hmm. rainy night. Mm-hmm. But some people place stigma on young youth. Mm-hmm. If they look a certain way, mm-hmm. they have to be a certain type of individual. Mm-hmm. But what I would say to our young kids is that we need to work on image. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you walk around with your pants below your waist and your hair in a certain way, does not make you a bad individual, but there's so much stigma placed on that type of individual. Mm-hmm. And on the night of Trayvon's death, he wasn't doing anything that anyone could see him doing. I mean, he was on his way home, mm-hmm. as Eric said, mm-hmm. minding his own business, when he was approached by an individual, a total stranger, mm-hmm. and he wasn't comfortable with that. And this whole incident will be the results of some of our young kids not feeling comfortable with someone trailing them, stalking them, mm-hmm. approaching them, without them knowing who that individual is. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that we are going to have to work harder with our kids to teach them respect, mm. and learn how to more or less stop and handle a situation. Mm. But I don't know if Trayvon could have did anything different than what he did. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've heard one of the radio commentators say that Trayvon contributed to his own death, and I just wanted to get both your and Eric's thoughts on that.
Well, that just puzzled me. If individuals say that, it appears that they have Trayvon already targeted as a certain type of individual. Mm-hmm. Trayvon would have been just like any other kid. Mm-hmm. He was afraid of a situation, mm-hmm. and he did his best to avoid that situation. And if running from that individual was what he thought was the right thing to do, I can't see how he contributed to his own death. Mm-hmm. I just can't see it. I can't get my arms around that.
I hear you. Eric, what do you think about that he contributed to his own death?
I don't see how either. Like you were saying, he ran for a good cause. He see a man with a gun come to him. See, I'm going to run too. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say, because it's still crazy.
Yeah. So it would be a natural reaction to run, to try to get out of the way, etc.
You don't know if he's going to kill you or what. That's all you can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing too, our kids are taught, when you see a total stranger, to put distance between yourself and that stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally think that's exactly what Trayvon did.
Right.
I mean, he ran until he thought he had lost Zimmerman, but Zimmerman continued to follow this kid. You know, and some of the comments that Ziegler made before, saying that these effing punks always get away. Now, who was he referring to? He was referring to young black African American kids.
Exactly. And so it's almost inescapable that with someone with that mindset is going to approach a young man with a hoodie in a certain kind of way. And one of the things that I wanted to just share with our audience, I was listening to TV the other night, and one of the white commentators, Bill O'Reilly to name, said that the way that Trayvon looked made him look like a hood with his hoodie on. The ironic thing about it is that later on it was shown that Bill O'Reilly on his website sells hoodies as part of his marketing of his own show. So I think we have a real irony here. Okay.
I think they could make that statement about any African or black kid, 5'9", maybe 145 pounds, with a hoodie on. To be a well-educated, well-spoken individual, no history of trouble. If he put on a hoodie and walked home, he too could be targeted as a thug in some people's mind.
Right. Okay. Exactly. And Eric, you had commented as Mr. Hightower was talking, and you were saying racist. Okay. And what made you think, from your over your 15 years of experience, that was racist?
Because you said he wore a hoodie. I mean, you said he sell hoodies, right? And he seen a boy with a hoodie, and probably his pants was below. Yeah, his pants were below him, probably his hand in the pocket, and he pictured him as a thug. And that's how really white people look at us. If we walking down the street by ourselves, pants below our waist, we ain't gotta have on no hoodie. We can have our shirt off or something. They gonna look at us and say we up to no good.
Can I ask you a question? What are some of the things that you guys are saying to each other among your peers at school? And the other thing too is, I've spoken with a friend of mine who has a 18, 19-year-old son, and she talked about the image. She talked about the mindset in which, let's just say, a mom or a dad tried to tell you that you are portraying a certain image, and that can come back and haunt you in a way, because Trayvon was on trial and he couldn't defend himself. So because he was looking a certain way, then they labeled him. Now, I just asked you two questions. One was, what are you and your peers are saying? And two, how did you feel about that that image, and how sometimes this is a perfect example of how it can come back and hunt you?
You said what do I?
Well, I'm saying, what are you and your peers are you talking, or what's going on with your peers as far as the conversation? And I'm asking you personally, how do you feel about the fact that sometimes we as an adult try to talk to you about the image, and how sometimes that can cause problems? Just simply, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but an image is an image, right? And so what I'm saying is, even though I don't see Trayvon as a thug and all that other stuff, because we know better, but the image, just forget about Trayvon for a minute. The image, just the image itself. Forget about the person, just the image, and how that can cause problems and come back and haunt you, because, like I was saying, they was trying to portray him as something that we all know that he wasn't, simply because of the image. So let's first start with, what are you and your friends are talking about right now?
What you mean? Like we talking about that situation?
Yes.
Really, what I'm saying that if I see him, I'm asking why he killed him.
No. Your friends. What?
Yeah, when you and your friends are talking, do you all get into what happened to Trayvon and whether it was justified or not justified?
Yes,
How do you all talk about it?
We ask each other what if we was it's 6 periods, right? Just up there.
Mm-hmm.
We ask what if we was one of them. Will we see if he guilty or not guilty?
Mm-hmm.
I think he not. I mean, I think he guilty because then they said the dispatch told him to stop following him, and he ain't see him breaking no laws. That was me and my friend saying he ain't see him breaking in no house, no car, robbing nobody or nothing. He just seen him with a hoodie on.
Right, and then as far as us, because what we're saying is that he has a right to walk the neighborhood.
Yeah.
He has a right to walk home. He has a right to walk home.
But he went to the store.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, he has a right to do so. So we're confused about the fact that he does have a right to walk home without being a suspect.
Yeah.
So that's where it's confusing for us. So it's confusing because he has a right to walk home. Okay. Now, as far as the image, how do you, when someone is talking to you and trying to get you to understand that the image can come back and give you, it can be something negative. How would you perceive that if someone was saying, I don't want you to walk out the house looking like that? And that could be like one of your favorite outfits. Okay, so how would you take that in?
Personally, me, I ask you why.
All right.
Okay.
Then you'll tell me again now. Is there something wrong how I'm looking? They probably tell me my pants down. I'll pull them up. And since I seen what happened to Trayvon, any white person I see walking the street, I'll pull my pants up, man. Like to my stomach or something. I wouldn't take my shirt and keep walking.
Okay. Well, Eric, I'm going to ask you to as they say, give it to us. Now, would you catch an attitude if your mom or your dad, asked you to say, pull it up, or to change that shirt or whatever? Would you catch an attitude?
Not in front of them, I would, but
okay.
Smart. See, good answer.
While I'm changing it, I get the attitude.
Okay.
But I make sure my door closed. They can't tell me to pull up my pants, but if they come, I'm like, yo, should I put on this or that? When I come out, I have my pants up and change it. If they tell me to put my pants up, I'll put my pants up. If they tell me to change the outfit, I'll change the outfit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And see, I think that, and Eric, in your response, I think that it's a thought out response. And again, because I know you want to get in trouble with your mom and your dad. But a lot of our young people, and I'm going to go over to Mr. Hightower again, a lot of our young people will catch an attitude and will say, well, nobody has right to tell me what I can wear or how I should dress, et cetera, and may even get into a conflict, with their parents, about wearing, clothing and that kind of thing. And so what I wanted to ask you in terms of what you see as a probation officer, do you see a lot of defiance or disrespect happening child to parent, well, let me just ask you to respond to that.
Well, I see that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the majority of the kids that we deal with come from single parent homes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have young males, and I'm not saying that a female cannot raise a kid to be a successful kid,
mm-hmm.
but the female can't teach that male how to be a male.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of kids that comes in on a daily basis, as I said, that are more or less disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
They think that someone is picking on them because they're in the situation. Mm-hmm. A lot of them think that their parents should more or less know more about their probation status than they
mm-hmm.
do, which is totally wrong because the parents are not on probation.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was saying earlier, doing today with you. A foundation has to be built, and if there's no foundation, everything crumbles. Respect has to be taught at an early age. Kid has to be taught yes and no. And the way you do that, you cannot wait till a kid get to be the age of 12 and 13 and discipline the child for the first time. Because the kid is not going to accept that. And the kid is at a point now where they're going to rebel against everything. I've always said that in the black homes, and there's a difference in raising a kid in a black home than it is in a white home. When I came along as a kid, parents had what they called was a coffee table. And on that coffee table was whatnots. In the Caucasian race, they call them figurines. But discipline started when you was a child and when you first began to crawl. And you became interested in those whatnots on that coffee table. You crawl your way there and you pull yourself up. And the first thing your parent would say, that's mine. And you would look back as a kid. And as soon as your parent turned the head, you'd reach at them again. But then the discipline part started because it might have been a smack on the hand. And as you grew older, that smack on the hand started going all over your body.
Okay.
And you taught them that at an early age. And as you well know, as I well know, what the Bible says, spare the rod and you spoil the kid. So discipline has to start early in life in order for kids to be brought up as they get older to respect that. And once that is taught to them, I think you have a better product. But when you miss that, you miss the boat. And when you struggle with these kids to get them to go to school, there's a thing that I call the domino effect. And it is no education, no money. No money, you cannot attain the materialistic things that we all enjoy in life. And when you cannot attain those things, it leads to crime. Because your peers has those things. And you want the same as your peers want. And when you don't have those ingredients to get them, it leads to crime. Crime leads to jail. And sometimes it leads to maybe a kid getting killed or in the grave. So you have to start early with disciplining your kids, giving them a foundation so they can be successful later on in life.
I think the points that you've made are, and there's a lot of depth to it. One of the things that I wanted to explore is that you had said many of our young people now, and I've heard the figure cited that up to 73% of African American youngsters are born into single parent households, which is extraordinary coming from the day and age of me growing up. But in that's a reality. And the days when there were two parents in the home, you know, in African American homes, and where there was that discipline, and there was the lady across the street that would know your every moment. Those days are definitely past. So one of the things that I wanted to know, and Eric, I'm going to have you jump in a little while also, what can we do as a community, as a concerned African American men, and as part of this society, to see that our young people don't go into that school to prison pipeline?
Well, we got to get back to the grassroots of things. There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Parents have to start trusting other parents with their kids. I mean, when my children grew up, you know, all of my friends had the green light on my kids. And it would upset me terribly if one of my friends saw one of my kids doing something and would not hold them accountable. So we got to get back to that. And the bottom line is that we got them to start back to respect one another. I mean, there was a thing back in the days, you would not disrespect. And as we was talking to Eric earlier about pulling his pants up or pulling up individual pants, if you walk up on a young kid today and say, you know, you shouldn't have your pants down below your waist, will you pull them up? You're looking for a dog fight.
Okay.
You're going to have to be ready to engage. Because first of all, the respect level is not there. And the second thing is, this kid is saying, you're not my father. And they probably don't have the father image that they can fall back on that would not allow them to do that. So it's going to have to be a numerous of things that take place. Get kids to understand that when you tell a kid to pull his pants up, you're not trying to embarrass him at that particular time. You're not trying to demean him or any kind of. What you're trying to do is educate this kid, because image is everything. I talk to kids about if you walk into a department store, and I tell people this all the time, if you walk into a department store and you don't have to be employed there, but if you put on a shirt, a tie, you don't have to have a name tag, and you just walk around in that department store, you look like you're supposed to be there. And before you exit that store, someone that's shopping will walk up to you and say, excuse me, can you tell me where I can find this item at? It's because it's what they portray. It's what they see on the outside. The first thing that they see is that this is a well-groomed individual, and it looks like this individual belongs in this setting. So you got to get kids to start realizing all of this hip-hop stuff that's on TV is ruining our kids. Because the hip-hop guys who wear their pants below their waist and they're tatted out and everything, that is a part of their image. That's a part of their money-making scheme. But our young black kids that's walking the street is not getting one nickel for that appearance that they're portraying themselves to be.
Well, that's a couple of things that I talk to the kids about, and I always talk about how Nike is pimping the kids, Reebok pimping the kids, and they don't understand that. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was when you were talking about now how times have changed, and that is, it's funny because you could be standing, I'll be standing in the grocery line, and there could be a mother with a child. And back in the day, you could play with the kid and try to get the kid to laugh and smile. Now you hesitant to say anything to the child or wink at the child, because you want to play with the child. Now you be like, no, I don't know how the mother gonna respond now. So you just kind of just sit there and don't say anything, because times have changed so much now. Even though there could be somebody out there that mean that child harm, but at the same time, you're very hesitant to just say, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. So, of course, you can say something to the mom first or to the parent first, but usually you can just wink at the child or just, do something to make the child laugh. But now you actually think about that before you do that, But as far as the image, and that was one of the things that I was talking about, before when we were talking about the image and how that's so important. But the other thing too is that we're not honest with just some of the simple things in life. We're prejudiced by nature. You're supposed to be prejudiced simply because that's common sense. That's an instinct. If I see somebody, I don't know you, the image, then that's the first thing I'm going to think is how I respond. I may think it, but that's only because I want to protect myself. So if you want to say, well, you're prejudiced? Yeah, I am prejudiced. I'm prejudiced because I'm looking at what I think is, but that's natural. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's how you respond. There's plenty of times I see young black men, young men walking the street, and I see them, and first thing I go like, So now I'm going, nothing against them, but I don't know them. But I'm not going to go up and I'm not going to immediately think this and that. But my first thought is to protect myself. It doesn't matter who they are. If I don't know them, they could be white or whoever. If I'm in a place where I'm not familiar with the surroundings, I don't know the people, my first natural instinct is to protect myself. So if I see something and I see an image, I'm going to go, okay, I'm not just going to go and just, hey, I got to fill it out first. That's just natural. But if you say that, it's like I'm saying something wrong.
Exactly.
But that's natural.
One of the things I wanted to ask, and again, since Eric is living it, he's at the age and in the environment where you are apt to be at the receiving end of that cautious response from a Charles or from me or from Mr. Hightower, etc. How do you deal with that situation as a young black man?
When Well, I don't want to make y'all feel bad about yourself. When the old person come up to me and tell me to pull on my pants, I'll pull them up until they leave. Then I just go back to the way they are. But see,
But why do you think we tell you that? Why? Why do you think that's so important to us?
because I guess that's how y'all was raised, and that's respect.
See, it's
okay.
see, I got that. But it's hard to understand. It's just hard, and I tell you why. Because if you wanted to go and apply for a job, who's gonna hire you? See, let me explain something to you. I got nieces and nephews, and if I own a business, you could be my nephew. If you walked in the door with his pants down, I love you more than anything, but I'm not gonna hire you. I don't care how I love you, but you can't come to me like that. And that's what you don't, not you, but I'm saying that's what your generation don't understand. That's not, see, the thing that what he was talking about earlier, when he was talking about the image and the rappers and all of that, they're pimping you, but you don't know you're being pimped. Okay? Just like if you sit there and you watch the athletes, okay, and they got the tattoos and they making $6, $7, $8 million a year, right? Where you gonna go looking like that right now when you get out of college, tattooed up, and you're gonna go on a job interview? Where you gonna go? Who gonna hire you? And that's what we're trying to get you to understand. But for some odd reason, it doesn't click that way. So we're trying to say, when you step, and I'll give you a perfect example. The young lady, her last name is Gentel, right? That crossed over into the corporate world. Did you see how she was portrayed? Did you see how she was? I'm not saying that it's right, but the point of it is, when you cannot cross over, because when I'm around you, when I'm with my boys, I could be stupid, crazy, I can do this, but when you step outside that door, when they say, hey, you got a job interview, when you don't know, and we can go on and on and on, because so many times now, even on the high level, James Harrison, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, you don't know who he is. I'm sorry, James Harris. You don't know who he is, but he was one of the first black quarterbacks, okay? He was, I just talked with him a couple of years ago. He told me this. He said, Charles, he was working with the Jaguars. Now he's with the Detroit Lions. He said, I was bringing in people on high-end executive positions, making 6 figures. They walking through the door. They don't have a suit on. They not dressed up. They coming in looking like thugs, and I'm supposed to interview, and I'm supposed to hire them. How he gonna hire them? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. He's a black man looking to try to do something, and he's looking at what walking through the door. And you go, I can't hire it. And he finally said to one person, he said, come here, tell you something. You cannot come in here like this. So I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I don't know how else to break it down to you. When you walk around, I mean.
Well, let me ask a question, because again, I think we got a unique opportunity, and I know we have a lot of information to give to young people. One of the things I'm curious about, Eric, is with your peers, you know, the guys who you look up to, you know, and that you hang with, would they respond to, you know, what Charles is saying, or what we're expressing here? How do you think that they would respond to it?
You see, the people I hang out with, they'll get mad at you. Like you said, they ask you why, and they ready to fight you. But I was, man, just pull them up until they leave. So we ain't got to do no big argument or nothing like that.
Okay.
Let me ask Eric a question. What is the importance of young black men wearing the pants sagging like that?
It's comfortable for us. See, I don't see how y'all can have y'all chances up there. It's not comfortable.
Wait a minute, Eric. I got to jump in here. Now you want to tell me that a young man with the pants hanging down almost below your underwears is comfortable.
Yeah, like this, it's fast and then comfortable.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay, go ahead.
Most individuals I see, they're walking wide-legged like a duck, in order just to keep them up. So I can't see how that would be comfortable.
Can I try another angle? No. But I'm serious.
We got your back, by the way.
No. This is see. It's almost like tears in my eyes. Okay, and the reason why there's almost tears in my eyes is because you're young, you're bright, you're a good person. But when you don't understand the people who have died just so you can walk the street, just so you can go get an education, just so you could be who you want to be, all the sacrifices, the people that's been hung, lynched, burned, and you wake up and you walk down the street through all of that, and that's what you come up with. That's why, that's what I'm saying, because the young people don't understand who back you're living off of. You don't get it. There was a time when you couldn't even go and drink out the water fountain, go to the same bathroom. You were brought over here in chains and lynched and burned, and you wake up and you go, this is good. So for somebody who understands the struggle, because it's almost like you don't understand the gift that God gave you, and you don't understand how precious you are.
Well, see, I'm going to jump in here a little bit.
Okay.
And say, and I think it is important that we, let Eric know what our experiences is. But I'd also have to say that I've got to turn the finger back on us. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because many of us, and I like to tell some of my friends, bought the hype of integration and bought the hype of the so-called American dream. And why do I say that in the large? And I'm going to come back to Eric and his generation. That many of us, because we went without many times or did not have access to the finer things in life, you might say, we to our children then said, okay, I didn't have, but you will have. And many of us provided for our children, but did not also provide them, Charles, with just what you were talking about, and that is the context in which those things were struggled for and those things were earned. In other words, we gave them the high school gift, let's say maybe of a used car, okay? Some of us in the younger generation gave those kids a gift of a brand new car, and maybe a brand new high luxury car, etc. But not giving them the context that many of the folks that built that car were black African-American craftsmen who built that car in Detroit. Many of us, would not have given our kids the information that one of the hot models that is still on the market, what is it, the Chrysler 300, was designed by a black engineer. We would turn the car keys over and say, here, son, enjoy. But not the concept that in addition to being a consumer, that we also have the ability to be a builder, a manufacturer, an engineer, or someone who is an inventor. So we still, and again, I'm pointing the finger at us, the older generations, did not do the complete job that I believe that we should have. And so therefore, while we are talking to young people, I think we still have work to do. that, and I would very much like to, in my 68 plus years of life, okay, that's it. Eric said, man, I didn't know that I'd know anybody that old. But
Okay.
we still have work to do in giving the information to Eric, not only wondering why his generation thinks like that, but working with them to help them, to change that mindset so that they know.
Right.
And let me let you go, Charles, and then I have a question to ask.
No, I just want to say, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm not. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to let you know the gift you are. The problem is that your generation don't know how blessed in the gift that God gave you. See, and that's what's frustrating, because what happens is you move forward, then you take 4 steps back, then you take a step forward, then you take another 3 steps back, because one, you got to be able to cross over into the corporate world. That's a given. If you want this, and if you want to work here, do this. Okay? When you're around your homeboys, you can do what you want to do. But you got to be able to cross over. Okay? When you sit down and you want to go for the interview, I just don't know. I mean, it's just me. Like I said, I got nephews, and they do the grill thing, and they got the tattoos. I can't do it. I'm serious. You cannot work for me. Period. That I just nothing is. You could be great, but you're not gonna work for me. That's just me. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is, as a person of color, understand how blessed the gift that God gave you. You're great. See, you have to know you're great. Spiritually, emotionally, you got the greatest gift God gave you is this right here. Okay, and that's all I'm saying. So I just feel that a lot of your generation, because you're smart, you guys are smart, man. You guys are smart. And as you know, a lot of those guys that go to jail, they talk about it all the time. They run corporations better than most businessmen. Unfortunately, the energy is in the wrong place.
Exactly.
They do business big time, but in the wrong way. They smart,
Exactly.
but they trying to get that hustle on, and they won't put that energy in the right place to be successful. So they got to always be running from the law.
One of the things that I want to do, because I think that it's really important as we're talking about what Eric's generation is doing. One of the things in terms of their information that they need, many of them don't realize how their acts as a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old can follow them. Many think that, oh, if I get into trouble now, no big thing, it's not going to follow me. Many don't know that at times in just hanging out and being at the scene of a crime, etc., how that can mark them. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about both the kind of problems our young people can get into without even realizing it, and what are the things that they ought to know or that they can do to keep out of those kind of situations.
Dr. Robinson, what you're speaking of is being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that can happen. And as Charles just got through speaking, if you can't cross over and separate yourself, and you have to be able to separate yourself. You know, some kids feel that it is cool to belong and be accepted by their own peers. But the thing is, and if you're not accepted to do some of the things that your peers are doing, you're considered a square. You're not cool. You're not one of us. And it's okay to hang with your peers, but know where the line is. Some kids can run right up to the line, but they'll never cross the line because they understand that there are consequences. Other kids will go right across the line, and they're being pulled across the line because they want to be accepted by a certain group. But as I was saying, you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It is very, very easy to enter into the juvenile system. But you catch the dickens getting out because you can graduate. Once you get into the system and you don't comply And for some reason, kids do not like to comply to court orders. So what
Okay, Eric. That's
Actually,
they don't like to be told what to do.
Actually, it don't have to be kids. Adults are the same way.
Right, exactly.
You know, they don't like to be told what to do, and that carry them deeper into the system. Earlier, as we were sitting around waiting for the show to start, Charles was talking about a program within a program within a program. And once a kid goes through the system and does not comply to, say, being placed on probation, supervised by the department, living at home with your mom. Now, I go to the detention center quite often, and I tell kids, and like I said, I've been doing this for 35 years, and no kid has given me the correct answer yet. My thing is, why would you jeopardize the final things in life? When I say the final things in life, when you're in the detention center, you sleep on a concrete slab, about as long as a coffee table.
Okay,
At
that's
home,
real.
you sleep in your mom's bed. I say your mom's bed because the child hadn't bought anything.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's the mom's bed.
Right.
In the detention center, you wear a jumpsuit versus being home wearing your own clothing. Also, you eat the food that they serve you in the detention center. And I'm quite sure every kid that's in the detention center, mom got to be able to cook better than the cooks.
Let the cook.
So I constantly ask young folk, why would you jeopardize those final things, sleeping in your own bed, wearing your own clothes, eating your mom's food, moving when you want to move versus being told when to move, where to move, how to move in the detention center? No kid can answer that question. Why would you jeopardize those kind of things? It's tough.
Right. That's it. Because again, at the very obviously, it's a no-brainer of a choice. But I think a lot of times, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that a lot of times young people just don't think about the consequences. You know.
Not if you're in the moment.
Well, that's.
I said, man, if you finna do something, you're gonna do it. Then afterwards, you probably think about it.
And you probably said, "Oh man, why did I do that?"
I just thought about it. Some
Okay.
people just blank out.
Yeah, it's funny because I sit and I watch Bait Car all the time.
Oh,
Right.
And the guys get in there and go, this is a bait car, and they end up driving the car off anyway. It's like, you just said it's a bait car, you know, and it's just amazing sometimes. It's just, and you can help us in how we think. What?
Okay.
No, I'm asking what is wrong with us.
Well, again, I'm going to respond to you, and it's very simple and complex, and that is, you know, a lot of times, especially, and I want, you know, us that are of an advanced age to think back of when we were teenagers, and that is that we had a simple philosophy, and that is, well, I want what I want when I want it.
Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah, but
now we got to be honest. We got to be honest.
See, but
okay.
by nature, I just think that we're selfish and self-centered. You know.
Yes.
Now, when I was in school, they talked about the ego and the super ego. I had no idea what they were talking about at that time, because the ego and super ego. And each one of us kind of we carry that, but some of us carry it to a whole nother level.
well, let me run it down to you.
Okay.
Because with most teenagers, and they've run not by the ego, they run by the id. Okay, is that I want what I want when I want it. Now, for most of us, and this gets back to what Mr. Hightower was saying, most of the discipline or training basically starts at that coffee table that you talked about.
Right.
Okay, and if it's not there, then the older that child gets, it is that much more difficult to instill that discipline. But for many of us, including me, when I was growing up, my super ego was my parents, okay? And my super ego was that I believed that old saying that I brought you into this world and I can take you out. And so often when Eric, as you were saying, we were in the moment, okay, and we wanted to go for the gusto in whatever we were doing. That little image of our parents, would come into my mind, and I'd say, I really want to do this, but I know that I'm going to catch hell. If I do this, and I will even be more straight up. If I do this and I get caught, okay, and the get caught part is often what kept me, because somehow my parents would find out what I did, and so that I knew, and I know one of the law enforcement concepts is the what is it called? The surety of punishment. Okay, all right, and I knew that there was a 100% surety that was there, without the parents being able to be in the home. It gets to be more difficult. Many of our young families, both black and white, either both parents are working, or in this economy, one parent is working, may have 2-3 jobs, and is not there often to do the kind of supervision that needs to be done. So, and I want to segue over into something that I think our young people can utilize. And again, by chance, Ms. Hightower, we were talking again before the cameras turned on about a particular program that you were involved in. And let me say this before we get into that. I think that the best preventive tool are involved parents. And if not the parents, involved individuals. Because again, often my parents weren't there, but there were other folks either in the family or in the neighborhood, etc., that were there. So our young people need that, if you want to call it that uncle or play uncle or grandfather or grandmother, etc. And too often those figures, those individuals are just not there. And when they're not there, then I think that programs that are effective then can help. And I'd like you to comment on that.
Well, and I understand exactly what you're saying, because I look at the school system for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, they used to have middle school football, basketball programs.
Mm-hmm.
They no longer have that.
Mm.
And see, and I looked at that as being a extended day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were speaking about a single parent,
Mm-hmm.
home, trying to run the home. Maybe the mom don't get off until 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you had middle school,
Mm-hmm.
you had practice, which was an extended day, which wasn't over with until about 5:30, 6 o'clock. By the time the kids finish football practice, basketball practice, and arrive home,
Mm-hmm.
mom is now there to supervise the kids, but you don't have that now.
And the kids would be wore out, but it,
Be ready to look for a meal, want to sit down and eat.
Actually, my first father figure was my coach in 7th grade.
See, and
And
that's when
he was my first father figure.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So he played a very significant part in my life, and I think about him all the time because he was my first coach. And when I played organized football, basketball, he was such a strong father figure, such a positive role model. I think about him every day because he instilled something in me. So he was the right person at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always remember his thing was, you kill a mosquito with an axe.
That's it.
And that was his thing.
Yeah.
So it was always, he was hustle, be honest, play hard. He was straight up, and he convinced you that there was nothing that you could not do. And that was his thing. And there's nowhere in the world I could have been around him with my pants down. No way on God's green earth.
And that still holds true today. If a kid have his priorities in perspective, there's nothing that a young individual can't do, but he has to have his priorities in place. And the number one thing I keep going back to, you must educate yourself. Because back in the days, it used to be saying education is the key. Didn't understand that. But as you get older,
Right.
you see that.
Right. Quickly, before we run out of time, we have a quick sound bite from Pastor Jenkins on the current situation dealing with Trayvon Martin. So let's see what he has to say here.
Okay.
And, see if I can find him real quick. Okay. I think I can find it. If I can.
Want us to sing a song until you find it?
No, my eyes are not what they used to be.
Okay.
That's what that is.
My response to the verdict in the Zimmerman trial and to the relating to the topic of the day of the other Trayvons, how do we take this verdict and decisions and all of the emotions involved, and how do we go forward? I just like to encourage the young men, women, particularly African American men and women, that the Bible talks in Proverbs 25 that he that has no rule over his spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. And what we can't do is allow this to break our walls down. We can fortify ourselves against any person, be it white, black, whatever, that will act out aggressively toward our youth simply because of their perception of them. And you can fortify yourself against people like this by first your education, getting more serious about your education, getting more serious about having a voice in the political process and as far as voting. A lot of things when we seem to take for granted, I would encourage and be prayerful that this would make us more serious and more adamant about getting involved and having a voice in elections and things of that nature, so that perhaps we can be more prepared in many ways, that these type of incidents will become far and few and hopefully never to happen again.
Okay, you've heard some words of hopefully inspiration, direction, and in our dialogue here tonight, some thoughts that you can carry with you as you think about where we go forward with the Trayvon Martin tragedy. We are pleased and proud to have our young friend Eric back tonight. And Eric, as they say, I hope we didn't rough you up too much tonight. Okay. And do you have any last words that you want to just share with our audience?
Okay. Would you, when adults do speak, they do understand the only reason we say something is because we care. It's easy not to say anything, but the only reason that you speak up is because you care. It's easy just to walk by, and if you see something that's not right, it's easy just to walk by. So if a person speaks up, that's only because they care. And that's the bottom line.
Very good. Okay. And Mr. Hightower, final thoughts?
My final thoughts is that we need to continue. Like you said, there's a lot of work to be done in order to more or less preserve some of our young black youth in the communities that we live in. Because if we don't provide them with some guidance and supervision, there's going to be a lot of self-destruction. And I want to thank you all for having me a part of this tonight.
It has truly been a pleasure, Mr. Hightower. It's been a pleasure again, Eric. This is not a final show. We're going to be calling on you again in the future. But before we close, I have to say next week we're going to continue on with an important topic of the day. We have one of our friends who is here in Orlando, who is from the West Indies and is doing some powerful work with youth in Jamaica. And because the first part of August is Jamaican Independence Day, we thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about young people here, there, and some of the challenges that they are met with as they are having to deal with immigration and also crime and also education. So join us again next week on The Journey. And as we like to say, the journey is from me to you and from you to me. Good night.